train ride to Paris or from sunny Barcelona. We rose up through the mountains as the sun started setting, and the sea came out below us as we rode through a village. We passed 10 feet from a little porch where a man was serving dinner, and our window was open. We could hear them laughing. I'm never gonna give you up. What do you got if you ain't got love? If you ain't got love, what do you got if you ain't got love? At 9 in the morning, after 9 months of waiting, you were born and I saw your face and you looked up at me. But before I could hold you, the doctors raced you from me, told me that you might not live, your heart was not healthy, and with wires coming from you, I sat beside you. I'm never gonna give you up. What do you got if you ain't got love? If you ain't got love, what do you got if you ain't got love? Someday, someday soon, you and I will both be gone. Lately, I can't help but think love we knew will live on. Had a little wooden cabin up in northern Minnesota. We ran together down to the dock, and you jumped right off it. And from out in the water, you called me to join you. I said, baby, I cannot swim. If I jump, I'll surely drown you. You said life has no limit if you're not afraid to get in it. And oh, baby, I jumped to you. Now there's nothing I can't do. I'm never gonna give you up. What do you got if you ain't got love? If you ain't got love, what do you got if you ain't got love? Someday, someday soon, you and I will both be gone. But lately, I can't help but think love we knew will live on.
Good morning. We're the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Elkhart, a welcoming community encouraging religious freedom, nurturing individual spiritual and ethical growth, celebrating diversity, and promoting a just and sustainable world. My name is Ken Claiborne, and I'm a member of the board of this congregation. We'd like to welcome you all to our virtual service this morning, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Elkhart. My name is Amy Kaliza DeBeck. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and it is wonderful to have you with us today. Thank you for being here, and I hope that you'll check out our website and look at Facebook and find out more about us. There is a walk at 1 o'clock today. We have coffee hour at 11:30 on Zoom, and then we have a real live walk at 1 o'clock that Terry and Annette lead. And I hope that the weather holds for you all and that goes well. The other piece of fellowship life that I always want us to uphold is praying for, thinking about, and wishing that everyone who is suffering with COVID or has lost someone from COVID know that we are with you. You're in our hearts. And if you are 60 or over or have other conditions that make it possible for you to get a vaccine at this time, please do.
We ring the gong 3 times. Once for those who have come before us and built a place for us. Once for those who are here now. and once for those who will come after us and build on the dream. Our chalice lighting is by Catherine Esty. Little flame, light the tender kindling of our souls, and soon a roaring blaze shall be of warmth and love and community. From this little spark may a fire of passion spread from heart to heart, and light our way, sweet Spirit, and light our way.
Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. To dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. This is our covenant.
On this, the last day of February, I invite you to really take a breath. Relax your shoulders, close your eyes if you want to. Really think about the fact that it's February and that soon it will be March. And then we'll be into the second year of living in a pandemic. And if you're watching this or participating in worship, it means that you have survived, and that's been your only job. For those of us who didn't make it, we love you, and we won't forget you. This service today is a love letter from your worship arts team, with me as their rep, to you. We do a lot of thinking and planning about what the congregation's spiritual life might be like at a particular time. We take into account things like holidays and liturgical events. But sometimes a date comes up and we sit around our Zoom table and we think about what might people be needing at that time. Your worship team decided that what we would offer for the last Sunday of February, what we prophesied, is that love letters should be our spiritual message for the last Sunday in February. Having not been with a real live governing board since March 2020, or in a restaurant either, since the night the board and I went out after the meeting on March 11th, 2020, I know what it feels like to miss everybody, to feel a little bit saturated by sadness and boredom and so forth. So I hope that this will feed your souls and spirits and maybe even give you a little bit of a challenge. Let's remember, with our shoulders relaxed and our deep breath, that love is what makes the world go round. Love is a stronger force than fear. Love wins. We can love people even when we don't like them very much. Love is beautiful. Often in November, people will commit to writing every day in a free program called NaNoWriMo, a novel. If you were to write the prescribed amount of pages each day of November at the month's end, theoretically, you'd have enough pages to publish a novel. NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month. February fans have adopted this practice, and they've started IncoWriMo, International Correspondence Writing Month. I'm telling you about this on February 28th instead of January, so that you'd have time to do this in February, because nobody has time to be doing anything more than what we're already doing. Well, except for those who knew about IncoWriMo. But anyway, I don't want you to have to worry about this. I just want you to know about it. If you do want to do it, you have 11 months to prepare. During that meeting, when we were all talking about what might people need by the end of February, it was Chad who told us about the writing challenge. And we all thought that by the end of February, that might be a real nice thing to talk about letter writing by the time that we've all wintered in a pandemic. Now, while the writing program IncoWriMo is not specifically about love letters, the rest of our time this morning will be. IncoWriMo encourages us to handwrite a letter, a card, a postcard, anything, every day in February. Happily, I did receive one from an adherent to this practice. Maybe some of you wrote or received one. Telling people you love them and or care about them is enjoyable. It fills up the soul of the writer and of the receiver. Some of the greatest love letters that have gone public have been feeding my soul this month, and I'd like to share some of them with you. Now, these love letters that I'm going to share are published in lots of ways, in books, in articles, and such. So when I say that I'm quoting from a magazine or a book or a journal, it's because there's editorial comment about the letters. So, from Glamour magazine, dated November 2020, they write, celebrated writer Virginia Woolf and English poet Vita Sackville West exchanged a series of love letters to each other that were unsurprisingly beautifully written. An author and a poet? But it was perhaps a letter from Vita, sent from Milan on January 21st, 1927, that offers the clearest, most unguarded glimpse into their love story. Unlike Woolf's flowery, ornate prose, West is far more straightforward. She writes, "I am reduced to a thing that wants Virginia," she wrote. "I composed a beautiful letter to you in the sleepless nightmare hours of the night, and it has all gone. I just miss you in a quite simple, desperate human way. You, with all of your undumb letters, would never write so elementary a phrase as that. Perhaps you wouldn't even feel it, and yet I believe you'll be sensible of a little gap. But you'd clothe it in so exquisite a phrase that it should lose a little of its reality, whereas with me it is quite stark. I miss you even more than I could have believed, and I was prepared to miss you a good deal." So this letter is really just a squeal of pain. It is incredible how essential to me you have become. I suppose you are accustomed to people saying these things, you spoilt creature. I shan't make you love me any more by giving myself away like this, but oh my dear, I can't be clever and standoffish with you. I love you too much for that. Too truly. You have no idea how standoffish I can be with people I don't love. I have brought it to a fine art. But you have broken down my defenses, and I don't really resent it. Some love letters are poems. On the Statue of Liberty in New York is a plaque bearing the words to a poem called The New Colossus. The poem, written by Emma Lazarus, was written because friends who were doing a fundraiser for the base of the statue asked this poet to compose something for the fundraiser. They made the money they needed to. It got published in the New York Times and in Pulitzer's own magazine, but there was no immediate follow-through. It was written in 1883, and then Lazarus died in 1889 when she was just 38 years old. But one of her friends never forgot that she had written this piece, and she would not let it rest. And eventually she got her friend's love letter to the immigrants of America installed on the plaque and the statue. From Emma Lazarus. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land, here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows world-wide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame, Keep ancient lands your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Do you have love letters? I was talking with somebody about this service, and they said that I could share a piece of their story. When we were talking about love letters, they said that they and their beloved don't have love letters. They cherish the memories of falling in love over the phone, in long talks with each other before they ever met. Many of you know that I love the Canadian TV show Schitt's Creek. The characters of Johnny and Moira Rose, brilliantly acted by Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara, share a great romantic love. One of the funniest stories from the series is when Moira finds a collection of steamy, intimate love letters written to Johnny, but they're not in her handwriting. Furious with him, she finally confronts him, only to be reminded that years ago she had a body cast that included her writing hand, and she wrote him those letters in her non-dominant hand. Our next love letter is from the disciple Paul. He was pretty hard-nosed. He laid down rules all over for burgeoning churches. My professor at seminary introduced Paul's letter to the Corinthians that gets quoted at weddings as a course correction for Paul. It's as though somebody wise advised him that you need to show the people you're trying to influence how much you love them. You need to show the depth of love you hold in your own heart before they're going to allow you into theirs. And so Paul takes a divergent path in that first chapter of Corinthians. And I'm going to read the whole thing. And he really is just writing about love. If I speak in the tongues of men or of angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have a faith that can move mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship, that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It's not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. But where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when completeness comes, what is in part disappears. When I was a child, I talked like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. When I became grown, I put the ways of childhood behind me. For now we see only a reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part. Then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. And now these three remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. Probably the favorite piece I have of my own love letter collection includes the first Valentine's Day card that I got from my husband. We had been dating for 6 weeks, and he signed it Kevin D. Because what? I was dating so many Kevins, I needed that last initial. Sometimes secret love is not secret. Long rumored to be a romantic couple, Eleanor Roosevelt exchanged many letters with Lorena Hickok, whom she called Hick. You can decide for yourself if these are romantic or between friends. 100 years ago, Inauguration Day was on March 4th. And at FDR's first, in 1933, Eleanor was seen sporting a sapphire ring, not from FDR. It was from Hick. Most of Hick's and Eleanor's letters were burned, but 300 of them were saved and published. Now, if most of them were burned and 300 survived, my goodness, they wrote a lot of letters. From the book Empty Without You, The Intimate Letters of Eleanor Roosevelt and Lorena Hickok. On March 5th, 1933, the first evening of FDR's inauguration, Roosevelt wrote Hick. Hick, my dearest, I cannot go to bed tonight without a word to you. I felt a little as though a part of me was leaving tonight. You have grown so much to be a part of my life that it is empty without you. Then the following day, Hick, darling, how good it was to hear your voice. It was so inadequate to try and tell you what it meant. Funny was that I couldn't say je t'aime as I longed to do, but always remember that I am saying it, that I go to sleep thinking of you. And the next night, Hick, darling, all day I've thought of you, and another birthday I will be with you. And yet tonight, you sounded so far away and formal. Oh, I want to put my arms around you. I ache to hold you close. Your ring is a great comfort. I look at it and think, she does love me, or I wouldn't be wearing it. Now another letter from another First Lady is Abigail Adams. Much has been written on the correspondence between John and Abigail. Not only were they a married couple who liked each other to the end, and a real team whose love survived even though they lived mostly apart because of his jobs, they were also Unitarians. From the book written about their love, My Dearest Friend. Nearly 150 years before the House of Representatives voted to pass the 19th Amendment giving women the right to vote, Adams, and that's Abigail's letter, was a private first step in the fight for equal rights for women. Recognized and admired as a formidable woman in her own right, the union of Abigail and John Adams persists as a model of mutual respect and affection. They have often been referred to as America's first power couple. Their correspondence of over 1,000 letters written between 1762 and 1801 remains in the Massachusetts Historical Society and continues to give historians a unique perspective on a domestic and political life during the Revolutionary era. In a letter dated March 31st, 1776, keep in mind what it must have been like at that time trying to get this country started. Abigail Adams writes to her husband, urging him and the other members of the Continental Congress not to forget about the nation's women. The future First Lady wrote in part, I long to hear that you have declared an independency. And, by the way, Now, everyone who has a partner knows that when it says, by the way, that's the important part. And by the way, in the new code of laws, which I suppose it will be necessary for you to make, I think she's talking about like the Constitution maybe, I desire you would remember the ladies and be more generous and favorable to them than your ancestors. Do not put such unlimited power into the hands of the husbands. Remember, all men would be tyrants if they could. If particular care and attention is not paid to the ladies, we are determined to foment a rebellion and will not hold ourselves bound by any laws in which we have no voice or representation. That Abigail. I hope that you feel inspired to read through old love letters or write a new one. The thing about love letters is that they don't have to be great to make somebody feel great. And it can be cathartic to write one. It doesn't even have to be romantic love. Sometimes a love letter may not start out that way, but when the bond is strong, every correspondence is a love letter. Fill up your spirit or lift someone else's. Love makes the world go round. Thank you for being with us today. I hope that you've enjoyed the service, and I hope that you go forward into a healthy and happy month of March. Our benediction is from Elena Westbrook. Go in hope, for the arc of the universe is long, and we can bend it toward justice. Go in courage, for together we have the strength to confront injustice in our daily lives and in the larger world. Go in love, because a holy and generous love is both the reason and the means by which we transform our lives. Blessed be. Amen. Go in peace.